Test. Test. You good? Yep, you're okay. Bob, you there? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm on.
Excellent. All right. So let's call this meeting to order. Let's stand up and say the pledge to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're singing the national anthem in the stadium. There we go. All right, everyone. August 13th, 2020. It's a few minutes after 7. This is our regular meeting here of the Smithfield Township Planning Commission. This meeting is called to order. Present Doug Scriver, David Strunk, Bob Moses via Zoom, and me. Michael Albert is not going to be present this evening, but we do have a quorum since we have 4 of us. Agenda. All right, we have the minutes of the July 30th, 2020 work session. Everybody taking a look at it? Looks great to me.
Yeah. Make a motion we approve the minutes.
All right, David Strunk makes a motion we approve the minutes. I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, that is approved. Next, I don't think we have any public comments on the agenda, so let's move on to plans to act on. We have 3 items on today's agenda, 2 of which involve Verizon Wireless, so we're going to take them together, but we're going to take them after the minor subdivision. So the second item on there is going to actually be done first. The minor subdivision of the lands of Rachel and Clays Whitecoff, and a lot consolidation of Nicholas and Barbara Frederick. It's both the same. All right, who do we have here for these applicants?
Myself and Nick Frederick.
And who?
Nick Frederick.
Okay. All right. So this looks like it's a lot consolidation, a minor subdivision. Looks like you're straightening out some lines out there in the valley.
We're straightening out some lines and adding some land to Frederick's house lot.
Mm-hmm.
They get a conforming lot. And just adjusting lot lines, basically.
Okay. And adjusting some lot lines.
And they're consolidating the piece they're getting from Whitehall into theirs.
Into theirs, then,
yeah.
As a result. All right, we have 2 items here. The Monroe County Planning Commission did review this. We have their letter from July 2nd, 2020, so we'll make that part of the township records, Ron. And we also have from July 28th, letter of Frank J. Smith, surveyor, to John Tressler. And then we also have the review letter of August 11, 2020 from John Tressler, Boucher, and James. Let's start here.
I hope you have seen a copy of that one.
You have it?
August 11th?
Mm-hmm.
This one?
Here.
This one's in July, but
No,
it's a good one. It's a good one, Charlie.
Yeah, here.
John tells me it's a good one, Charlie.
Charlie, you can take this one since Michael's on here.
Thank you.
All right, John, why don't you give us a little bit of the chapter and verse on this?
Okay.
Looks fairly straightforward, actually.
Yeah, it is. Our previous comment letter that they saw, they did in fact address the comments. And I think the only meaningful comments that we had at that time was we asked that they readjust the lot line so that the driveway was all contained on one lot, and it made the one lot conform a little bit better to the zoning. They've done that. And really, I think everything is ready for.
Otherwise, it's ready, so it's all on one.
That's all been done. So
Okay.
I think it's ready for action.
All right.
You want me to go through the conditional list and see which conditions there may be, if any?
If you want to go through briefly, Ron, go ahead. I mean, one thing I said, do we require them to give us the deed descriptions here at the Planning Commission? Have they been submitted?
It's been submitted.
It's already been, and it has
I read the deed and ran it by the assessment office already and got the tax number and everything.
Oh, you're efficient, Charlie. All right, it has the easements in it already, okay. All right, go ahead, Ron.
All right, so this will be the conditional, agreement for conditional plan approval form. All right, John, I'm gonna go through and tell me if there's anything here we need to check off that has to be done.
Okay.
Planning module approval or exemption,
No.
certification from Smithfield Township Sewer or anyone else with regards to the ability to hook up or available capacity.
No.
Same thing, written certification from Rock Creek Regional Authority regarding hookup or available capacity.
No.
Monroe County Planning Commission review and or approval.
I think we have that.
Yeah, we have that in here.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, we made that part of the record.
Monroe County Conservation District review and or approval.
Not necessary.
Any soil erosion, sedimentation, or other stormwater management plans.
Not necessary.
PennDOT HOP or Township HOP.
Not necessary.
Any other permits like NCTES, et cetera.
No.
All right, I'm gonna put, should we add here to be safe, compliance with conditions set forth in Township Engineer letter of August 11th.
If there are any,
Are there?
I don't think there's anything outstanding, is there?
Well, I will mark it then, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
no action required. I mean, I want electronic copy, but that's easy. No, we
No, it's
don't
good.
have anything.
Number
Okay.
5 is done, right?
All right, deed of dedication for any streets,
Nope.
Nope.
certification of merger deed, I believe already have that, provided from Attorney Vogt. Grant of easement for any right of way along any road or any other place.
Was that handled in your deed, Charlie? I mean, there is.
Well,
property
the access, but the
Yeah.
right of way, there's no street right of way, the access is.
No, but the access?
That's
in the
between
deed?
the two houses is handled in
Under
the deed they have here, look at that language right here, Tom.
Yeah, okay, that's one I was thinking of, so that's fine.
And that's also in the other description, this is a little piece that they're getting,
Mm-hmm.
and then on the larger piece that they're combining,
Yep.
if you come here, again, same thing, just that right there.
Yep.
I think that's what you were looking for.
That's what I was looking for, and it's there.
Okay. So we know that that's taken care of, all right, let's go here, do we need any miscellaneous agreements of any kind?
I don't think so.
All right, then we're left with, 3 general items, park, recreation, open space fees. So 1 lot, 2 lot, 3 lot, what are we doing?
Lot consolidation, I don't think they're creating any lots.
No.
It's 2 existing lots, and there's still 2 existing lots.
Okay. All right, so you believe there's no creation of lots, even though these are new lot lines being determined? Okay. I'll go along with you in that regard. I would disagree, but I will go along. You're making new lots. When you're changing lot lines, you're making new lots. Anyway. All right, monuments, pins, markers will be set in the field and certified in writing by applicant's engineer. Yeah. That has to be done, right? Okay, so far we only have that one condition, all right, let's keep on going here.
Has it already been done?
Yeah. Okay. I'm sure we get this done now. Okay. Any salvo waivers, and plan to be signed, plan to be notarized, correct? Okay, so that being said, Chuck, I'm gonna give you this form, look at it, make sure it's okay, if it's any folks want to look at it, and if it looks good, sign it up, and then I will argue or make a motion, or not make a motion, but he's got this. No problem at all. Make sure you got the Corella down the wash. I'm not worried about that. Wife, 6 kids, 100 million grandkids, the best thing I can do is get sick. I get a vacation. All right, so, Mr. Chair, I have signed an agreement for conditional plan approval form.
Okay.
In the Wykoff and Frederick minor subdivision lot consolidation matter, and that's been signed by the applicant's planning professional. And unless there's any further discussion or questions, the matter would be in a position to, consider a motion to allow, or recommend additional plan, final and preliminary and final plan approval.
I'll make a motion to recommend preliminary and final plan approval.
Second.
All right, we, The motion is on the floor. It's been made by David Strunk, been, seconded by,
Mr. Schreiber and Mr. Moser.
both. There, so.
Simultaneous.
It doesn't sound like there's any other discussion on this. Anything? Anybody?
No.
All right. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Okay. It has carried. Thanks, Frank.
Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie. Take care, guys.
Hold on.
All right.
Here, you guys, before you go, let me copy this so you each have a copy. Okay.
This one? Dinner? John, how do we want to approach this one? At the same time, you have two different letters here.
Well,
Which one do you want to hit first?
well, the conditional use is easy if you wanna get that one out of the way.
All right.
I mean, it's about steep slopes, they're disturbing a small amount. I mean,
Yeah, not much.
so I think it's okay, but.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's much.
But the ordinance requires them to jump through that hoop.
Okay.
Then on the land development, I would ask them to make their presentation.
Yeah, let them do it.
And see what they say to my comment.
Okay.
There's about 4 waivers in there that they need.
Oh, is there?
Yeah,
I didn't look at that
I've
one.
got them identified, I'll let you know where they are.
Okay, got it. All right, shall we move on here? All right, we're moving on. We have 2 matters here for, Verizon Wireless Magic Cauldron. We have the conditional use and the conditional use and the final land development plan here on this. It's in 2 parts. Let's take, at Mr. Tressler's suggestion, let's take the conditional use part first, because that seems the more straightforward of the 2, and then we'll.
May I make a, Chairman?
Yeah.
May I make a
Yeah.
statement? Okay. Thought about this long and hard. I've also seen this develop over the course of the last, quite a period of time, probably, what is it, been a year now, at least? It's probably been 2.5 years, I think. 2.5 years. Okay. I'm gonna say something that will probably not be popular. It will probably, raise the hackles of our attorney and, the other attorney here. But I'm happy to hear your feedback, obviously, and anyone else. But let me just say that this thing, to me, has the odor of big tech and big government stepping in to tell a small town who has a long-established ordinance that protects the health, safety, and welfare of its people in the vicinity of the airport and of the people who use the airport. I guess I should probably pause now and ask John Tressler if you have resolved, John, the question of the horizontal surface zone, the interference of a tall object, the height of the object, and whether or not that object, and I know what the federal court said. I know what the judge said.
Right.
Okay, and again, that's the federal court stepping in, using the new laws that the nation has developed to facilitate 5G, whatever this thing is, this new and latest and greatest data delivery system and voice delivery system that we all are eagerly awaiting. However, the laws of our town are clear. And this is the case of Verizon with tons of money stepping in and saying, with lawyers up the kazoo, presenting their case, and the federal judge basically intruding in our operation, and the operation of our government and the execution of our laws.
And I would just caution the supervisors and anyone on this board that it's just not, it doesn't sound right to me. Now, if anyone would like to tell me, and you can argue, but I would like to hear from my colleagues as to why they think this thing is okay or not.
Well, I can just say as a matter of law, there's a federal court decision that says that the conditional use for this project must end. Now, there are two things that are still out there to be looked at. Under the court order, there is the lighting of the tower.
Right.
And the collapse of the tower. Now, Mr. Williams and I may disagree on the collapse of the tower issue, but I think the order says that. It's pretty clear. It talks about those two items. But that's it. We don't have any other choice but to accept that order. And it's a federal court.
Can we challenge the federal court?
Not anymore. You can't. That train has left the station back in February. And I think that it's a loser if you do. When you have these conditional uses, for example, tonight there's a conditional use with this project, just specifically because of steep slopes. So it's like a second conditional use.
Yeah, I understand that part.
You have to bring evidence, if you're an objector, almost overwhelming evidence that what you are saying is going to occur is detrimental to the health, safety, welfare of the community, et cetera, and you've got to prove that more than just by regular proof. I don't have the exact language in front of me, but that wasn't done with the last conditional use hearing. The judge basically said, meet your burden with respect to this. And if you want to meet your burden with these kind of cases, if it's something serious, and I'm not talking about this case specifically, you could have like design engineers come in to testify on behalf of the township. You could have planners come in, testify on behalf of the township. You just can't have one or two people come and say, I don't like it. It can't go anywhere. So, although the township may not like this being put there, I don't think there's a choice at this point. We can talk about lighting. I think we can talk about collapse, but that's it. Okay. But I don't know now, the other, commissioners who are here, because they are in effect your colleagues more than me, and I don't mean this to be cute. They can certainly weigh in, but I think that's where we're going to be here today.
I don't like it either, but we're stuck with it. We don't have any choice. Hang on a second, Robert. We don't have any choice. I think maybe even at the last meeting, I think one of the last meetings, Ron and I were even discussing that. I think we were all talking about where the federal court decision has sort of left us. And we're unfortunately stuck with it, just like we would be if it was a fair housing case. We'd be stuck with it, whether we like it or not.
Presumably the federal court took into account the fact that we have ordinances that are very clear, and that this tower is a specific, as an object within the horizontal zone of the airport, that it is an obstruction by definition. So, what did they do? Ron, did the judge just say, well, that doesn't matter?
I don't believe there was any valid testimony that this tower is in that zone that you just talked about. It is, I missed it. I don't know of any testimony that says that was in that zone, and in fact, Mr. Trusper said that the height of the tower is well within the airport regulation.
That's not what I thought. I thought that it in fact was higher than allowed within that horizontal surface zone, and that it was, that it poked up into the airspace. John, does it not, or does it?
Well, it's 630 feet above mean sea level. Now, we ask that they submit, the height of the proposed tower versus the elevation of the existing airport so that we could determine that, and they said they would submit it, and it has not been provided at
Well, the
this
airport's
time.
like 430 feet.
Actually, this is a memo that you prepared, John, to the, planning commission back on April 5th, 2017. Probably for the planning commission's review in connection with the conditional use. With respect to this issue, and it says, the proposed tower has a height of 100 feet. The existing grade at the base of the tower is between 525 feet and 524 feet. Therefore, the top of the tower will be at an elevation between 625 feet and 624 feet. So the maximum horizontal safety zone would be 630 feet for section 1105.8.
Okay, quite honestly, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I get the sticker.
And that is lower than being considered.
Correct, 630 would be within the zone, we're below.
Alright.
And we also obtain notices of determination of no hazard there navigation from the FAA. And the Pennsylvania.
I saw that, yeah, okay.
Robert, you wanted to say something, I put you off there while we were finishing up.
Budget is based on the FAA rules, parts of it. There's really no argument against code, what you do is challenge the FAA rules. But it's not something.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, then let's go to the conditional use part here. John, we have your letter here from August 11, 2020, it's part of the, now the.
You can only comment on two conditions.
Yes.
So why bother going through the left?
No, that's what I wanna get at.
Different conditions. The first condition is building the tower.
Right.
They have now been permitted to do that.
Okay.
Now, they still have to file a land development plan to make sure that they have met all the engineering requirements. This is a second conditional use, building it on steep slopes. That was not an issue that was ever addressed.
So we're on the second one.
And under our ordinance, if it's a steep slope, it's gotta be a conditional
I
use
didn't realize we
review.
moved by the first.
That's okay, I missed it myself. Lois called me today and said, you have the paperwork for the conditional use, and I
Yeah.
said, what conditional use? Well, we're okay.
We'll get there. All right, John, go ahead.
Okay, I've got a 2 or 3 page letter here. I'm gonna summarize it because I really think it comes down to, one issue, which is the steep slopes.
Mm-hmm.
One issue that I have that has to be corrected, I think there's a difference between the square footage of the steep slopes that were identified earlier versus what's on the land development plans. That has to be rectified. In this district of very steep slopes, they're allowed to disturb 10%. By our calculations, they're disturbing 3.39%. So I believe they're within the allowable to be disturbed, but they need a conditional use to move forward with that.
And there was actually, unfortunately, I guess you didn't receive a copy, we did submit a conditional use plan that actually shows the areas of disturbance
Is that this?
and how much it is. It's a one-page,
Is this it, Rick? I'll give it to the.
Yeah, that's what it looks like, yeah.
It's just, I was just gonna say, John, is it, we're talking about this piece in here.
Correct, that's what we're talking about, exactly. Here's that.
Yep. It's minuscule, but it's there.
That is correct.
And that disturbance is within what we allow anyway.
Yes.
So our condition could be they can't disturb any more than, how much percent?
10%.
They can't allow any more than 10%.
And it's currently,
3.9.
alright, so we could put a condition on it that they can go ahead, and as long as the condition is they do not disturb a steep slope more than 3.39% of their,
Or you could
area.
make it 5% and just.
5% leave it around,
Right.
okay? Alright,
And to your letter, Mr. Tressler, we did review it, and, there were some transposition errors on the numbers, that was.
Okay.
Yep. So we have no issues with the comments.
I apologize, Chief, but you are again.
I'm sorry, Andy Miller.
Yeah, I thought you were Andy Miller. You look younger than I remember.
Pull my mask down and you can,
yeah, now everybody, yeah, right.
You don't hear that too often, you look younger.
I know, yeah.
because this looks like a kid here in front of me.
All right.
All right, so do you, need any further discussion on this, Mr. Chair? And if not, you can entertain a motion if you want.
Okay.
And I'm gonna just do one thing before you do that too, because as I said,
You caught me mid-breath.
this caught me a bit off, and let me just make sure that our ordinance doesn't require Monroe County Planning Commission review. I don't
think on a conditional use, I think that's all
I
up.
don't think so, but, let me just double check here just to be safe. Commission action. The 30-day supervisor's action, yes. I don't see that,
Okay.
I don't see where the Monroe County, Planning Commission gets involved here.
All right. Then on the conditional use, application, I'll make the motion that, we approve the, what are they calling it? Northeast Pennsylvania doing business, SMSA, doing business as Verizon Wireless, their conditional use application regarding steep slopes to permit disturbance of a steep slope of maximum amount of 5% as depicted, where is it here? As depicted on the map of, Retsu Associates dated July 8th, 2020, the conditional use exhibit map. Okay. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Recommend approval, to recommend approval with that condition.
Second.
Yes,
5%.
max.
Second.
Okay. Bob Moser, the second. Any further discussion on that part? Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? One nay, one opposed. Doug Scriver is opposed, but the motion carries. Next, the land development plan of Verizon Wireless. We have your letter, John, of August 11, 2020 here. That's the review. Let me put this back in my corner here.
Is this the one where we always can comment on two issues?
No, it's the land development plan. This is
No,
different.
this is land development.
It's an actual land development plan.
Those two items, it was agreed with, Williams and I that we could make that part of this discussion. But the main discussion is the land development plan, just like any other land development plan. So rather than going through another conditional use hearing with respect to the conditions, got to wrap it all into the discussion.
Okay. All right, John, why don't you take us through your letter here, describe this a little bit, and then we can let them do their presentation.
Yeah, this letter is a follow-up. This is the second letter before they're bringing their plan before the, planning commission. They had submitted it initially. We wrote a review letter.
That's your June 16th one?
Yes.
Okay.
They asked that the plan be tabled, and then responded to, that letter, and this letter is now our review of their response. They did address a lot of the comments. There are still, a fair number of comments. I don't know that any are deal breakers. There's a couple we may want to discuss in a little bit more detail. There are requests for waivers, which I think the planning commission should.
They're in the subdivision comments, right?
Right. So I think that they should be addressed by the PC. And, you know, in the interest of time, I think maybe the applicant should identify which comments they might want to discuss and which they might just say we will comply, and that should move it along as.
I think that's a great idea. Okay, guys, floor is yours.
Andy, why don't you go ahead, it's Andy Miller from who actually prepared the plan and the response letter, so I'll just have Andy run through the comments,
Sure.
and the issues, just as you said, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So referring to, Mr. Kessler's letter of August 11th, zoning ordinance comment number 1, just revising some items on the setbacks, we'll comply with that.
Okay, that should be no problem, Lynn.
Yep. Number 4, with regard to conditional use, we just discussed, so no further discussion there. Number 5, with regard to, parking space, and if, gravel parking space is acceptable to the township versus the township's requirement of it being paved. Now, we are proposing as part of the project that the access road, be gravel, 12-foot wide gravel access road, and then the parking space would be gravel as well, just as the compound inside the fence would be gravel. So, we would, like to ask relief, I guess, of that, so that that doesn't have to be paved up against all the other gravel areas. So that's just an item for discussion.
And also, whether one parking space is sufficient.
Yeah, that's number 5.
Number 5 is just
Correct.
There's
about
one parking space. How many parking spaces do we need?
Well, it's,
Would we otherwise require?
well, it's not clear for this particular use, and I think you're only gonna have someone coming there on occasion to service.
It's like a technical truck, right?
Yeah, once or twice a month, a gentleman will come in a pickup truck or an SUV, to service the facility, that's what you generally see in some of
He's not gonna drop off repossessed cars, is he? Sorry.
That's a different condition.
So, there isn't a clear statement in our zoning ordinance for this type of use. I just felt that we should confirm that we're okay with one. I personally am okay with one based on what the applicant has presented, but, the planning commission should weigh in on that.
Well, we can weigh in, but if there's no requirement for anything one way or the other, I don't think we can.
I think the last time we visited this, I'm sorry,
Okay, go ahead.
the last time we visited this, I believe we said, it sounds fine.
It sounds fine, I mean, I don't think we need anything else major, it sounds okay to me.
Correct.
All right?
Moving on to comment 7 is with regard to lighting at the equipment cabinet. Basically, what we have proposed is just a simple, single bulb light that's at the equipment cabinet within the compound. There's no other security lighting, up to dawn lighting, there's nothing else like that. The only other lighting that I will mention is the beacon on the top of the
So that's
tower.
not what we're talking about
But that's
here.
obviously
No, that's
not
not,
security lighting, correct,
that's not security lighting.
correct.
So it's you only use it when you're there.
They only use it when the technician is there, that is
No,
not.
well, so we don't have to worry about glare.
Correct.
Okay. All right?
Okay.
Just a question, do you have, for security purposes, do you have motion activated lights with cameras?
They do not, no.
They don't?
Nope. No, basically, if anyone were to, break into the facility and then break into any of the equipment cabinets and damage anything, they'd know immediately. The control center and the, switch, station that this, site talks to, they would know immediately if something's not right, just to try and dispatch and technician to go out.
I think they'd be electrocuted. All right, number 8, this was the height that we were talking about.
Correct, this is the height which we just discussed, yes.
So I think, I honestly, I forgot about that original memo that I had written.
I'm not surprised, it's only 3 years ago.
Yeah. So I do believe that adequately addresses the concern.
Number 9.
Number 9, this was your letter, Rich.
Yeah, so what we did is, when we went to the conditional use hearing, we had a report prepared by, Andy Peterson, basically confirming that there will be no interference associated with the site, basically by virtue of the licensure and the frequencies with which Rise Wild can operate in. So as a result of that, there will not be any type of, issue of interference with fire, police, radio, television, anything of that nature. In fact, what I should have done is brought a copy of that report with me today,
Yeah.
which I did not do. But I certainly can provide that report to the planning commission so you have it.
I think that should probably be put in as It will be okay with, excuse me, with, the submission of the report there that you're talking about.
Yeah, I'll submit that same report. Again, it's a report by Andy Peterson, it's called a non-interference analysis. So I'll submit that to the township by email.
Okay.
Number 10 is, with regard to preliminary plan waiver, to basically have it as a final plan. And this waiver request is just basically due to the size of the project. Essentially, if we went through a preliminary plan approval and then a final, the plan would be the identical plan, just with a name change. There's nothing being dedicated, nothing being, offered, no subdivision of land, anything of that nature.
John, can we do that?
Yeah. We do it quite often.
Yeah, the commission has in the past,
Yeah, we have, I thought.
said that,
If you're not doing anything.
filing two plans doesn't make any difference, or filing the preliminary plan is really not necessary, because the final plan is not gonna be any different, or the final plan isn't gonna add anything more
Yeah.
than just do one plan. And if, John believes that's the case, and that's normally why he makes a recommendation, then certainly the commission can
Okay.
recommend that.
All right. Number 11,
And 11 is essentially, referencing the comments to meet the section.
all right.
All of this providing CAD files, again, after it's been approved, which will be no problem.
So that's a will comply, I'm
Yeah.
writing my notes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yes, we'll comply for that one, that's no problem.
And number 11 is a not applicable, is that what we're doing, or?
Well,
That's a comment only, really.
Yeah, because if you're not doing a preliminary plan, it doesn't make any
If
difference.
they get the waiver, then
Yeah.
they now must comply with 12 through 28.
Okay. All right. So to be picky, but I
No,
have to
let's-
do the notes, and then.
No, let's do it.
I never know what I'm doing, so,
All
okay.
right, 13, 14, and 15 are satisfied. 16.
16A.
Yeah.
We did provide a letter to the, fire department, we've not heard back from them yet. So I can, reach out to them and see if they've had any comments on the plan.
All right. And the planning commission, we had from May. There's a letter here from May.
Yeah,
So that's been taken care of, it looks like.
yeah.
The Monroe County Planning Commission did it. So that's really not applicable.
Yes, we've addressed those comments.
Conservation District.
Conservation District, we actually received, their stamped ENS approval yesterday.
And they provided me a copy of that.
So we have it already?
Yes.
Okay, so that's also not no NA because we already have it.
Correct.
Okay. All right, and licensure from the Federal Communication Commission and the Public Utility Commission. Can't really do anything with federal or state licensing, I suppose.
Well, the only thing is, we do have a copy of our FCC license, I don't think we provided that, we get a copy of the FCC license.
Yeah, then put it in, and then
Yeah.
it's actually complete. All right, to provide FCC license. All right. Seventeen.
17 is with regard, since it is a land development project, a community impact analysis. And basically, we would, what we would be looking for is if that's required or not, to really, we don't feel it's necessary for this. There's no impacts on any public utilities or anything that would, have a detriment to another development in the township.
So you're seeking a waiver?
We would be seeking a waiver of that, yes, that's not, we would add that to our waiver request.
Seeking a waiver of the public impact statement. Okay. Continue, 18.
18 is an issue for my surveyor, and we'll comply with, addressing that.
All right, so they'll comply. Nineteen,
19 is another waiver with regard to plan sheet size. The township typically is 24 by 36.
yeah,
We're asking for a waiver of 22 by 34, and that is a Verizon standard, whereby then a 11 by 17 is a true to scale size plan that their technicians use and contractors use. It's something that we've been doing for them now for as long as I've been involved with it. So it's just a typical waiver that we have to request.
do you care, John?
I don't care,
Doug, do you have any feel? I don't know,
No.
it's just printing size, Dave?
yeah, and what,
Bob, anything?
No,
Okay. Okay. All right, 20,
This is with regard to the site context map.
Yeah.
This was, submitted as a separate sheet, just asking to be added into the, set, which is not a problem, and some additional information to be added.
to this set?
To the land development set.
Yeah, this whole set, okay.
Correct, yes.
so that's a will comply.
Yes, will comply.
Okay. 21,
Again, this goes back to the, site context map, and,
that's by also a will comply, right?
correct, yeah. Yep, will comply, same as the, existing conditions comment.
22,
22 is just, another, waiver. There's,
Well, you don't have any utilities other than power.
correct, we have no other utilities, so for our purposes, to go out and do the actual mapping and routing of all the other public utilities, we were just asking a waiver of that. We have no connections to them, so not to say it doesn't matter where they go, they're not within our site boundary, so to trace them down and provide all that information, we didn't feel it's necessary for our project.
I mean, even though they don't have any connections, the ordinance asks them to show anything within 200 feet. Their point being, well, why? And I agree.
I agree, I think I'd agree with that as well, there's not,
But don't they have to identify utilities in case they dig and they hit one of them?
Well, we've done a one call within our whole project area, and there's been nothing mapped or located in that project area. So, and when they go to do construction, they'll do a big one call at that time, so everything would have to be marked out. But we're confident there's nothing in our way right now, for the project.
All right, as long as that's covered.
yeah. 23 is satisfied, 24,
Just regarding monuments and markers, we had stated that we could add monuments and markers around our lease area. I guess that's for discussion, to actually show monuments and markers and set them for the missing to the overall property. That would be something we'd want to ask for a waiver of.
Yeah, I think we
oh, I see.
meant for the leased area, so there's no confusion in the future where your area is.
Yeah. Yeah, and I believe on our easement plan, we typically call out that those corners are to be set just for future monumentation.
But our markers in monuments, aren't they there for survey lines, for property lines? Why would it matter where the lease line?
The lease line, from a survey standpoint, is the same as a property line. I mean, we want to make sure that when they send someone out to build this tower, that they get it within those four corners.
A leasehold interest is still an interest in land, it's just not a fee simple interest in land, so they're gonna wanna mark it out.
And there's many times where we go out to sites that have been built 30 years ago, some of the first sites, we're trying to figure out if we can expand them, and having a monumentation there where the actual lease area is very beneficial.
So when the lease expires, are they required to take them out?
Yeah.
With the rest of the improvements.
With all the rest of it, sure, because it's not encumbering any longer. Depending on how long the lease is, they may have to record it. All right, 25. Truck turning.
Correct. We did provide some truck turn templates to show that,
Is it in there? Go ahead.
we did supply some templates to show that that fire trucks and so forth can make it into the site. That is still being reviewed by the fire department. We haven't heard back from them yet. The one comment here was just about, I guess with relation to construction vehicles and their access to the site. We didn't run any of those, but typically with the construction of the site of this size, there's typically not as much activity as you think. They come in and they do all the earthwork, they get everything stoned and put in. That equipment leaves, they bring in the crane, they set the tower. That equipment leaves, they come in, they finish the fencing, button the site up, and they're out of there. So it's not, there's really not a lot of staging area or multitude of construction vehicles. This is a very straight access drive compared to some of them that we do.
I'm pretty sure that when we last heard about this was a monopole.
Yes, correct, yes, that is correct. Yep. They'll bring it in several tubular sections, lift it into place, they split together, for lack of a better term.
So what are you asking for there?
Well, I wanted to at least hear an explanation of what was gonna go on, and I think I'm okay with it. I mean,
Right, so-
as long as the fire truck can get in, I'll be okay.
So we'll say what, comply, we'll comply?
Yeah. We'll comply with the fire truck.
Comply with fire.
We'll reach out to the fire department.
Okay. 26,
26, again, this is a similar comment back to the security
Yeah.
lighting and that we had already discussed.
so you're asking what, for a waiver of a lighting plan, really?
Essentially, yeah. Yeah, because we have really no lighting to show on a lighting plan.
27,
27 would be in relation to the ENS plan, which was approved.
That comment's actually satisfied.
that's satisfied, isn't it?
At this point, it is. At the time I wrote the letter, it wasn't.
So we'll just say not applicable till it's already satisfied. All right, let's go down to 31.
So 31, I jumped ahead of myself a little bit when I first started talking about the, space. This is just saying about the intent to not pave the access drive or the parking area, just due to the limited nature of it and the way that it's used.
So you're seeking a waiver of paving, really?
Yes, correct.
Okay. $32,
This is just a revision to a note, so we'll comply with that.
okay, we'll comply. 35,
35 is just with regard to trees and, I guess, again, seeking a waiver of that as to not tear down existing vegetation and plant new vegetation for the matter of meeting the letter of the street tree, requirement. Because there's existing vegetation actually off the property along Airport Road and back along the, eastern boundary of the property as well.
to leave the existing greenery.
Correct, yeah.
$36,
36, a construction cost opinion was provided with the last
yeah,
submission. I guess we'll do a separate review of that.
If nothing changes as a result of your approval, then we'll go ahead and review
Okay.
it.
all right, so that's not applicable really, right there?
At this
Put it-
point,
At this
fine.
point, it's not applicable, John? Yeah. All right, stormwater ones.
38 is just with regard to ENS, which has been approved.
All right, so that's not applicable either. Okay, satisfied the others. Let's go down to 46.
You should know, Mr. Chair, that this is an issue with the applicant with respect to these particular, requests, so, keep that in mind as we move forward.
All right. have to do here, Ron, on these?
Actually, so we submitted, back in July, copies of the certified structural design report with all the loading from the tower manufacturer. So the question, just that we would want for clarification, is just what type of letter the township would be looking for in terms of, the collapse. You know, what do you want the letter to discuss or particularly address? You know, something along those lines, so we can get, obviously satisfying concern the township would have.
Let me back up for 1 second. What did you call that, Mr. Williams?
Certified. I can tell you exactly. That's okay, it's just my notes. Certified, yeah, it's, I think it says it here.
Oh, this says it there?
What we actually submitted was the structural design report from Sabre Industries, who's the tower manufacturer.
Okay.
Got it. Yeah, and it has all the calculations of the loading requirements. So just in terms of getting the township what it's looking for in terms of the structural certification.
Let's talk about that for a moment. The supervisors have continually taken the position that they are, they believe this was not a place for the tower, but we're beyond that.
Right.
That train has left the station. So, and they have reluctantly accepted that,
Right.
okay? They still believe, however, they are concerned as to how this tower will collapse, number one, if there are any buildings nearby. I mean, if you have a building that's 70 feet, within 70 feet, and this tower's 100 feet, how's it gonna collapse? And I remember at the conditional use, there was some talk about it collapsing on itself or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay? So they would be looking for something like that, and they would be looking for some type of information, and I'll defer to Mr. Lobenheim if I don't say it correctly.
Yeah.
That if a skydiver hits this tower, what's gonna happen? Are they gonna become impaled, or will the tower bend or give or do something with respect to that? That's, I think, the concerns they have expressed over the year or two that this has been cooking. If there's something else, Robert, jump in, but.
Well, before, I think there's some confusion over the height of the tower. There's the tower proper, the monopole.
Right.
How tall is that?
5 feet.
Okay, and then there's a 5 foot.
There's a 5 foot lighting rod. Correct, yeah.
Rick, when you started, you were Mr. Williams, but
We're well beyond that.
I think our concern is, one is safety, the other is liability. It really has to do, at this point, with, student status skydiver city. You sent us all this information from an independent, study about tower. Honestly, I couldn't understand any of it.
Right.
John Tressler looked through it, and, I think he has some comments on it. But, essentially, it's this, that if there's how high is the wind if the tower goes?
Well, they did an analysis for, a wind load at 113 miles per hour with ice on the tower. And, so, I mean, it has been analyzed under pretty adverse conditions. I know you postulated possibility of a skydiver hitting the tower. That could be hard on the skydiver. But I think the impact is less than the impact of the wind load. I did that analysis. I think, though, that what Mr. Karasak said would be, of importance. How does this tower collapse? And what radius is it going to encompass that collapse?
Right.
Nothing is gonna collapse 100% upon itself.
Right.
The buildings that they dynamite seem to do pretty well, but, this is, you know, if it's designed for 113 miles per hour wind and we get to 125 mile per hour wind, it's gonna blow over, break.
Yeah,
What's gonna happen with it?
I'll add something else, I wonder if there's any way, part of this thing could break away, so if somebody does hit it, it gives, just like a tree gives, you know, because the branches on top of the tree are very thin. The concern is really interesting. As you know, I've never, objected to power security.
right,
I think it's about right. This thing will just, push away, break away, so they're not being stamped by it. That's really comes down.
How thick is the tower? At the top?
Usually it's about 2 feet. Yeah, usually the base is between 5 and 6 feet, and it tapers at the top about 2 feet. The tower itself, what about the lighting on it? That's probably
2 feet diameter or 2 feet circumference?
2 feet diameter.
Typically, the lightning rod is 6 inches in diameter.
Yeah, okay, just
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And the final tower design will be done based upon geotechnical analysis, you know, what the footing and the foundation needs to be. Again, wind loading, all that, that's why Sabre does all that.
Yeah, we'll see what we can get in terms of the description as to how it will fail. What they generally do is they over-design the top and bottom of the tower so that there's quote-unquote a weak point in the middle,
Yeah,
so that
that's
if
fine.
it does fail,
It breaks.
the way it's been explained to me, it's almost like a stick in the river. It's gonna go to the point of least where the least resistance is in this state, yeah. Very rarely does it go all the way over, but it'll kind of eventually stop. But we'll see if we can get a detailed letter, explaining the
What's
cloud.
it made of, steel?
Yeah,
Only steel?
Yep.
And you should know, Mr. Chair, and it's not to kick the can down the road, because I understand that every project wants to be done, but Mr. Williams, will grant us to October 7 to take action on this matter. So it can come back again for one more look before it goes to the supervisors, or, it can go directly to the supervisors after that report comes in, but you might want to say, well, let me look at that report one more time.
So we really,
December meeting, and then it goes before the supervisor. It's up to you.
so what we're really looking at in A is a requirement that the applicant really has to submit, I don't know what.
Well, there's additional information.
I would say submit additional information as to the collapse under various,
Conditions.
scenarios.
Yeah.
Scenarios, really. If something hits it, if it's wind, I mean, I suppose technically earthquake, not that we have had like one of them here in 10 years.
I'm looking at Mr. Tressler's response on the top of page 9. It says, while structural design report was submitted, report that Attorney Williams just talked about, a certified letter discussing how the tower will collapse has not yet been provided.
Yeah, I think that's really what we're looking for.
This is what we're talking about.
That's what we're talking, that's exactly what we're talking.
So that's what will comply, if you will.
We'll comply with the certified letter. Okay. And I think B is included in there.
That's already been done. I looked at it, it appears reasonable.
Right.
Okay, so B is not applicable,
That's
who's on that?
satisfied, I mean.
Yeah. I expanded this section. I could have put satisfied, but I knew it was an important issue for everybody, so that's why I put the narrative in on this particular comment.
C. I think,
Like a comment.
Yeah, it's a comment. I'm just telling you what they submitted, how I viewed it, and it's here. We have it in the
Yeah, well,
file.
with the
yeah, we have it, right? Did I hear you say earlier we have an
The
FAA?
FAA issues a no hazard,
Yeah.
determination of no hazard air navigation. We really can't dictate what or what not the FAA specifically indicates that it's.
So, but C is really satisfied, you
Yeah,
said.
we provide that, correct.
D,
Same thing.
same thing, satisfied.
And just as what the FAA is proposing in terms of lighting for the tower is a dual arcing system, which is the, white beacon for the daytime and the red at night. So they call a dual net system. That's what the FAA is, requiring.
Okay. E. Did we get something?
We did provide, in conjunction with the conditional use hearing, we had Andy Peterson, who I mentioned did the non-interference analysis. He also did the analysis with respect to the tower being, required in this particular location. We sent it as a radio frequency design analysis. I can submit a copy of that.
Yeah, why don't you? Since we're submitting everything else, we might as well do it with this. I'll say will comply. And then F, I think you said that already, did you?
Well, I mean, we discussed that, maybe about 25 minutes ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, I'll just say will comply on that. Yeah, okay, I thought that was in there. Okay, 47, future antenna.
This is just stating.
This is co-use of towers, isn't it?
Right.
Correct.
The
Okay.
question was whether emergency service providers can use the tower. And I think what Amy's, statement is what Verizon generally does is they'll make space available on the tower below a certain elevation, usually it's 80 feet for free for emergency service providers, but if you need to go above that or if it interferes with commercial use, they'll charge you at a reduced commercial rate. But if the township or Monroe County or whoever's looking to go below 80 feet, the space is available, as long as the tower can structurally accommodate.
All right. So we don't really need to do anything with this, that one.
No, other than have this discussion.
Rather than have this discussion, so, all right. So we'll just say NA, we had that discussion.
What kind of signage would?
Yeah, what signage would we need?
Talking about?
So I guess,
You know, keep out,
so that was my question. I mean, there's no advertising signage, you know, a giant Verizon logo, or anything. But they have with, their FCC licensure, I mean, they have certain, safety signs that have to be on the fence, the name of the site, the
Owner, probably.
the call number to the 1-800
The
center.
National Operations Center,
Correct.
it says like Verizon Wireless site number, something, you know, Magic Cauldron, I think it's like the National Operations Center.
Can we use that number instead of the usual crappy customer service number?
I can give you that number.
Yeah, I'm sure, yeah.
That would be the only signage that would be proposed, and I don't even have a template of what that is, because that just is regulated by what standards are.
if you don't care, then I don't care.
Yeah,
But that's what we were asking.
okay.
And I just put will comply.
I think simply will comply with it. I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah, many times there's questions about.
It's not retail, you don't have people coming to it, it's not anything like that.
Yeah, can't fix a broken screen or anything like that.
All right, 49.
This is with regard to the tower removal estimate which we provided,
Mm-hmm.
and it just, some comments there for discussion, I guess. For the committee.
Yeah, well, what the timeframe is for tower, that's the, usually what we see in most ordinances is 180 days from.
I was gonna say, 3 or 6 months till you get it in there and scrap it out, right?
Yeah, what we can do as well is, we've been, in addition to development agreements, we can execute a tower removal agreement with the town,
Yeah,
you know, to specify the time period.
How will we know it's been abandoned? I mean, nothing's going on.
I usually just put my finger on it, if it's warm.
Usually when you look up and you can see that there are no antennas on it, you know, that's pretty much been abandoned.
I'll say it, we'll enter a tower removal agreement with the township.
And in that agreement, many times we specify to let the township know if the use is discontinued in the agreement.
Is that a 5G tower?
So it will be presently, it will be in the very near future, though. Once it's constructed, I would say probably within about a year and a half, it's probably, likely.
How long does it take to construct the tower, once you break ground?
Typically, till they get all the subs lined up and have everybody in there and do their part from start to finish, it can be 2 to 3 months. Yeah, usually it's about 2 months. Because the site contractor moves in, does his work, like I said, they get really the longest duration of the whole thing is excavating the footing, pouring the concrete for it, letting it set before they set the tower. That's the longest duration of the entire project.
Yeah, aside from waiting, it's probably not that much. There's probably not that many actual construction days, probably a couple of weeks at most,
Yeah,
probably.
it's very limited site work.
All right.
Yeah.
Material and color of the proposed communication tower. Galvanized,
It's a non-reflecting,
yeah,
galvanized finish on the,
okay. I'll just say, what, will comply? I don't know.
one of the discussions, make sure that.
All right, that's really not applicable, I'm just saying a,
Comment only or something was what I put in my notes.
okay.
How much will the tower extend beyond the existing trees? I mean, do we have a number?
You, with that, and yes, I don't think you have it, we have prepared an exhibit before the supervisors,
Yeah.
and I don't think we have it with us, we can bring it with us the next time. I wanna say that maybe, the tree line's maybe 68 feet, 70 feet or something like that.
That's probably
You know, I'm always the one that seems to say, you know, what are the aesthetics of this thing? What's it gonna look like? Do we have an elevation? And that would be helpful, just to know how it's kinda gonna look in there.
Yeah, we
The trees are 60 feet high, it's gonna be 40 feet higher than that, I mean, you know, what?
Yeah, we have a cross-section, of kind of showing how the tower
Yeah.
exceeds above that, so we'll
Okay.
bring that with us the next time, so you can see. I wanna say that the tree line's like between 68 and 70 feet, so the tower would extend about 30 feet above that.
Irrelevant.
I mean, you wanted to,
It's irrelevant,
Why?
because it's, we have to give a condition, we can't tell them they can.
But, you know, they used to disguise them as trees, of course, that looks even.
That looks even worse. All right,
even the best ones
Okay.
don't look good.
We find that the galvanized works best in northeastern Pennsylvania, with the great skydivers here, 380.
Yeah, I would tend to. Okay.
all right, security, I think that's been addressed.
Yep.
All right, so we'll just say not applicable, comment. Color of the chain link, what is this one?
Chain link fence,
Oh,
is that gonna be galvanized, is it gonna be black?
Yeah, that would be galvanized as well, yeah. Standard
Black
chain
tends
link.
to disappear surprisingly more so than galvanized, but,
really?
yeah.
Yeah, well, we have plantings proposed the whole way around it as well to provide some screening, so.
I really don't care, just put it on the plan, then if someone inspects it.
Okay.
Great.
Revision, new comments, consecutive, you comply with 55, 56, and 57. I think you'll just comply with those, right?
Yeah.
Those are basic.
Yep, yeah, no issues with that.
Okay. All right, what do we have to do here? Holy cow.
Why don't we let David make the motion?
He looks like he's dying to make a motion tonight.
So good.
He is, actually. Unless, Robert, you wanna make a motion, Bob?
Sure. I move that we, approve with the,
One second.
with the
Hang on a second,
stipulation. Yeah,
There are a number of conditions we have to make in this motion then. Right. Power agreements, et cetera, it's not something I can just do at the drop of the hat, I'm gonna need 15, 20 minutes to get the conditions in place if you wanna vote on this tonight. And that will be also.
Let me ask you, would it be easier for you if we did it in September?
Well,
with your notes?
It's not so much easier, but you at least have the report about the collapse.
Yeah, we should have that.
So then you know so if you wanna fight about that a little bit more, and I don't mean that to be a wise guy, I mean that to be sincerely.
No, I understand.
But you can, and we're still okay to October 7th.
That's right.
You know, and again, it's not meant to kick the can down the road, et cetera, but I think it would be better, because not only can I sit and figure out what some of these conditions are that we're
Do
talking
you want my
about.
hand scribbles too?
No,
You got them all?
I got enough here to be dangerous. I'm more concerned that your tower collapse report, because I know the supervisors have been very insistent about
Okay.
how this tower is gonna collapse and how it's gonna protect the people, et cetera.
So you know what you have to give us.
Correct, yes, well, now we.
And the FCC licenses, you're gonna give us all those
The
pieces.
FCC license, the non-interference analysis, and the radio frequency design report as well.
Yeah,
Which I'll have emailed to.
let's make sure here, hold on, let's make sure what else. No, the utilities,
Robert, you guys did.
if you get something back from the fire company in the meantime, then just submit it all in and we'll do it again for the, we'll just add it all in as a final packet. Yeah, Dave?
Let's say we've got all those in front of us right now.
Yeah.
Does it change any motion that we're gonna make? I mean, in the end, supervisors need to have all this information. So why do we need to have all this in hand? They're gonna give us a report that nobody's gonna understand on the collapse of this thing. We can make it a condition that the supervisors review all of these reports and things and move it on.
that would throw it all squarely in the supervisor's
I
lap.
understand that, but all, they're gonna be looking at it all as well anyway.
We would
No,
be
I'd say
giving
we
them
can
any
do it.
help.
I'm okay with that.
If you want,
It won't take that
I'm
long.
just hoping my Verizon bill goes down, so you come.
Forget that.
No.
They own you now.
Yeah, they got you.
Do you wanna consider the waivers this evening, or do you
No,
wanna
do them all at the same time. Let's do them at the same time.
Okay.
Let's do the waivers then.
Waivers and conditions.
We'll do waivers and conditions, September.
What we should have is a waiver letter.
Yeah, I sent one to, Melissa, but
Did ya?
I'll
Okay.
revise it with the other.
Yeah, get it so that we have them all in.
Because a couple were added tonight.
Correct. Yep, I'll revise that, no problem at all.
Where's my calendar here? Here we go.
Yes.
That would be the second Thursday, which would be.
17th? Yeah.
September 10.
10?
September 10, Bob.
Oh, okay. All right, okay. Third.
So revisit September 10,
All
right?
right, so so I make a motion, we'll table this to September 10th. Dave seconds it after all that. All in favor? Aye. All right.
Is that okay with that? Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, thanks for your time.
Yeah, we appreciate your time.
Thank you for giving us.
So, wait, I have a question.
Yeah, Bob.
Ask him if it will improve my cell service in Shawnee.
In Shawnee? No, you're on the wrong side of the mountain.
I guess. In the valley.
AT&T anyway, what do you say?
All right. Motion we adjourn?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
We're out of here.
All right, thanks, Scott.
Bob, take care. See you
Yep,
walking
you too.
down.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, Ron, then we can get it all together. That's a better idea. No, that's.
I understand what Dave was saying, like, it doesn't make a difference, but